Hold on. I'm just doing math. 250 times 350. $87,500. $87,500 a month of revenue at one of these doggy daycares. You've got incredibly healthy gross margins. Either these are money printing machines or I'm missing something. If it's that good, then why don't you have more locations? Shaina, you are a venture-backed franchisor, which I think is freaking fascinating. You've got Dogdrop, which is effectively doggy daycare, but you've got a new spin on it because you're adding a tech component to it. So it's a tech-enabled business. You've got currently 4 locations open, 15 under development. You're growing like crazy. Tell me, what attracted you to the sexiest business in the world, doggy daycare?
That's a good one. Well, I always say Dogdrop isn't new, but I think the way we're doing it is. Before I started Dogdrop, I was working for an electric vehicle startup. So totally different industry. I got a dog and everyone always says, you must be obsessed with dogs, obsessed with dogs. I was like, I was trying to get rid of my dog for like 2 hours a day so I could get work done. But yes, I am obsessed with dogs. And I came from a very different background and somehow was just every day having the same pain point of where can I just drop my dog off for an hour or two so I could get some work done.
So I don't have dogs. I have cats. For cats, it's like if I leave for the day, they've got food, they've got a litter box, they're like self-sufficient. I've never had a dog. So like this is an issue. You can't just leave your dog at home.
So you can leave them at home. My dog was a puppy at the time that I got her. If anything, I was working from home too, even pre-pandemic, and I just wanted to heads down, get some work. I'd take her on a walk. It wasn't long enough. I would play with her. It wasn't long enough. If you have kids, I think it's a similar pattern there. And so I just was like, I don't need all day dog daycare. If anything, I'm home. And that's kind of one of the perks of working from home and being flexible. And I just wanted a place to drop her off so she can get her energy out. And that's really what we're doing. It's not that dogs can't be left at home. What I laugh is we launched during the pandemic when there's no better time in the world that everyone is home and people are still going to dog drop every day for a couple hours at a time.
What's the business model like for a doggy daycare? Is it subscription based? Is it by the hour? Like how does it function?
Yeah, kind of bingo. We wanted it to have a common sense business model. So pay for what you use. It's a membership. We even charge in 30-minute increments. If you drop your dog off for 90 minutes, you pay for 90 minutes. You don't have to make appointments. Everything the way that people want to use a dog daycare, and it's recurring revenue model. So how
Oh,
many?
okay.
Yeah.
So there is a membership component to it, but there's also a usage component.
Yep. So each membership, we have a couple different tiers and it's correlated with utilization. So you kind of are buying a bank of hours. And if you use up your hours or your half hours, technically,
Mm.
you can just pay as you go on top of it. Your card, we build all of our software ourselves. Your card's on file. It's kind of like Uber. There's a drop off, pickup, and there's no physical transaction.
Is that the normal business model for doggy daycares? There's this like subscription with usage component.
I think some have adopted and leaned that way. When I started, I lived in LA in Long Beach at the time. It's not like there weren't dog daycares. I started going to place, it was half day or full day packages. I wanted to drop off
Mm.
my dog. I missed the drop off time. I wanted to pick up my dog. It was like I had to wait till the end of the day. I'm like, I'll pay the whole day. I don't really know or care. I just want to get her in the middle of the day. They're like, well, we don't have the front, receptionist to bring
Yeah.
her. And so it's just like so many pain points. And so I wanted to think about it from the way that we use like in a boutique fitness or a human lifestyle of like membership based businesses where I could have access to any location and not go through this very cumbersome experience.
How much does it usually cost? Like you don't have to necessarily say doggy daycare, but like, or excuse me, dog drop. Generally speaking, like how much does it usually cost per hour? Just generally, not your specific franchise.
Well, per a lot don't even have hourly options. I'm not to say none, but
Oh,
most it's half day or full days or packages. It very much varies. I'll talk in California, it can be 30 to 60 plus dollars per day. Totally depends. For us, it's $6 every 30 minutes and with the daily cap of 60, and it can vary by location. So we're pretty in target with the higher end of the band for most alternatives. But what we do is make it really accessible to people who want to drop their dog off for an hour or two. Who are like, hey, I don't have to pay for all day. I can drop my dog off for 30 minutes of off leash play for $6. I mean, it's kind of a massive win.
and then they have a bank of hours is effectively where they can pull from. And if they go over that, then you charge them.
Yep.
So if I'm somebody who is like, I need 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, do you have people like that?
Yep. Don't worry, we got something for you.
How much does that usually cost?
Our Fanatic membership, which is unlimited, exactly what it sounds like. It's about 700 a month, and that's pretty
Okay.
much in Target. In I think our South Florida location, it's around 550 a month. So it does vary by market, but I mean,
Hmm.
even in LA, there are places that charge 900 plus a month. I'm in the Bay Area now, upwards of 900 a month. It totally varies by facility and market.
What do I get for that?
For if you're
$700 a month.
Yeah, if you're Fanatic, it's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. all day, every day. No, no, we're closed on Sundays as well. But it's exactly what it sounds like. You're not paying any extra. What's also super cool is you could access any dog drop location and not pay more. So I don't know any other
Oh,
dog
that's awesome.
daycares that do that, but yet $700 a month and you could access any location. We've had our LA members visit Denver, vice versa. They're going, on a trip. People want to travel with
Yeah.
their dogs. There's dog friendly Airbnbs, dog friendly hotels as well, but they still want to go out skiing for the day or go to Universal, or they have a business dinner that they can't leave their dog at the hotel for. So then they'd have access.
When I drop the dog off, what's the dog's experience? Are they like, manicured? Do they get like chef treatment? Is it all gluten free? What do they do at the doggy daycare?
We do use vegan dog treats so that we don't have any animal proteins on the park, is
Okay.
what we call it. We're it's not a bougie Beverly Hills dog daycare. I always say this, it's for the masses. It's very high quality. I equate our brand much more to like a Warby Parker. So Warby Parker, it's clean, it's affordable, it's consistent, and it's also good quality, but it's not some super bougie eyewear brand, right?
My wife and I have a membership at the YMCA.
Okay.
Now, coming from California, hearing about the YMCA, I'm always like, YMCA's are junky, you know? But here in Boise, like the YMCA's are actually super nice. And as a part of our family membership at the YMCA, we get 2 hours a day
Yep.
where our kids can go to, it's either kids zone or kids club or the YAC, the youth activity center.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's pretty nice though. I've actually been really impressed with it. I've gone to some gyms where it's like, yeah, we have daycare, and they just plug them in front of a TV and then like leave them alone. But my kids, they have an indoor outdoor, they can play outside. There's coloring. Like the people that are there are really involved with the kids, and they have a good time. They met a lot of really good friends there. Can that happen at a doggy daycare? I've always seen dogs, usually they're like, yapping at each other and about to fight. Like, do you have them mingling with each other, or are they just like in different corners?
Oh no, it's really cool. I mean, you have to follow our social media accounts. You'd get a kick out of it. It's more of a structured daycare approach, so it's not a free range approach. I mean, the dogs are all off leash. They're not in kennels and crates all day throughout the day unless they're having a feeding. We do feed dogs separately. I always laugh when people ask, "Do you feed the dogs open?" I'm like, you clearly haven't had a dog if you think we're gonna put a bowl of food down with 30 other dogs. And then our Droparators, the daycare attendants, they're CPR certified, they're trained. And what's cool is like these folks are really, I don't want to say easy to recruit, but we get a lot of applicants. Even before launching our Florida location earlier this year, we had over 402 applicants to our daycare attendant role. And so I think that's one thing that business owners really need to look at is, am I going to be able to attract talent? And I think from being in the pet care industry, we had that going for us. And then with our brand and the way they see how we do things, we get so much great talent that wants to work with us. And so it's very cool. And even from the coming soon window vinyls alone, we'll get applicants. And I'm not saying they're all highly qualified, but it's great to be able to attract that many.
That's awesome. I'm going to share my screen. And if you're at home, you need to go watch this on YouTube, or if you're on Spotify, you can take a look at this. So this is the Hollywood location,
Oh yeah. Yep.
Dogdrop Hollywood. And it looks like we got two employees out here. Don't know what you do think. We're walking in. Oh, this is cool. Here's the drop. Okay. We got some hats, Some merch. Oh, you can buy merch. Poop bags. Wow, the branding looks fantastic. Oh my gosh, I love this. All right, so we're looking at some text playing with some dogs. Oh, cool. All right, so you're showing different levels of activities that they can play with. Oh man, I don't think I've ever wanted a dog more at this point. Oh my gosh. So video's cool, but I have what scientists call a face for radio. And so what's even cooler is long form audio via my podcast and my newsletter, nikonomicspod.com. Go there for free, subscribe to my newsletter. It's 1 email per week. It's super tactical. And then go to my audio podcast. I do 3 to 5 episodes a week, depending on how curious I am. And it's stuff like this. It's all free, no sleazy sales pitches, nikonomicspod.com. Okay, so there are like different levels of activities that they can do. It's not outside though. Like this, the Hollywood one looks like it's inside.
All indoor. And so when we think about site selection, everything is intentional. People are like, oh, that's so convenient that you do that. And you're like, well, it's not just by accident. So we wanted to pick a business in a massive industry, pet care industry. We also picked dog daycare alone. I always laugh. I know if someone's operated a business, but the first question they ask me is, well, can we do grooming and overnight? I'm like, you haven't operated it. Anyone in pet care, the first thing they say to me, I love that you just do dog daycare. So
not like a doggy hotel or a pet hotel.
Oh yeah. So our model, it's a 1-to-many model. So very similar to boutique fitness, right? One instructor to a more class. So one Droparator, if you sell our boats, they all wear the Dogdrop overalls. It's pretty cool. Like even we've had a dog dress up. The parents on Halloween bought the Dickies overalls and a black t-shirt and had the dog walk in as a Droparator. So everything with the brand.
Wait. What did you just say?
For Halloween one time.
No. What did you name them?
Oh, the Droparator. Oh yeah, it's a thing. Our daycare attendants.
That's what your daycare attendant's called, is a Droparator?
Yeah, it's a serious
Please tell me that you, oh my gosh, you need to have like a bunch of videos, like smooth Droparator. I love this. Okay, amazing branding. And for people who are listening, like you need to go watch the video that I just did. That's Dogdrop Hollywood. Like you've got a bunch of really good branding. It looks like you even sell merch at your locations. Like you got tennis balls that are Dogdrop, you got hats, you got shirts, you got little, looks like poop bags that they can.
Yeah, compostable waste bags, right? And so you can have them on subscription too. Anything that's a daily essential that folks kind of go through, right? So compostable poop bags, individual pond bum wipes, everything. But we only, and what's really cool about operating a Dogdrop as well is we don't have a ton of inventory. So a lot of brands get, kind of crushed from the franchisor. They have to hold so much inventory of things that aren't selling. So when I tell people when they're looking at Dogdrop, I'm like, don't even look at the retail. The business it's a membership-based business. Can you acquire and retain members and create that vibe? And that's what you're selling. You're selling the feeling of trust, safety, and security.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe.
That's amazing.
Because when someone walks in, you get right away. It's dark. It doesn't smell good, whatever. Now you're going to drop your dog off there. It's the same with the kids' daycare. Oh, the people didn't make eye contact with you. They didn't come out. It's that feeling. It's the same thing approach with our employees. I'm like, it doesn't matter what you say. It's the way you make someone feel. And it's the same way of the vibe and environment that you have in your daycare setting. Doesn't matter. I can tell a pet parent, oh, we'll take such good care of your dog and everything. But if they don't get that feeling that we will, then they're not going to choose us.
Let me ask you this, because I do have a bunch of questions on the branding side. I think that's a really interesting component of it. But high level, if I'm looking at this, I think you said $6 every half hour, so about $12 an hour for these pets, roughly, is where we are.
With the daily cap of 60. So it works very similar. I always say like a parking garage, right?
For the franchisee, excuse me, how many members, or what's kind of the cap on the number of dogs, I guess, or hours that they can have per location? Do you have sort of a way that you look at capacity?
Yeah, definitely. And what I like, we're the anti-Planet Fitness model. So we have super high utilization that our members typically go over their membership. So on average, our memberships are around $250 a month is what the average member is targeted to spend. And you could probably have about 350 monthly members. And again, it's going to depend on your membership mix. But even if you look at our website and you take our memberships, that's probably the average membership as price as well. We do have higher
Holy
tiers, we
balls.
have lower tiers.
Hold on. So I'm just doing math. 250 times 350.
You do your own math.
87,500. Yeah, I'm doing my own math here because we're going to have a debate later about item 19 of the FDD. $87,500 a month of revenue that one of these doggy daycares, if they're in that ballpark of 350 members and $250 per member per month.
So off of our locations, that's probably about how many members you can have. And you have a ramp up period as well. We target opening a location with 100 would be a goal for a franchisee. So it's very similar to, it's called like an Orange Theory or a Rumble, a fitness play in terms of founding members. And then you can look at the memberships and see, well, what's the average membership price and kind of go from there. Each membership mix may be different by location, and it totally varies on the owner.
On the cost side of things, you said that there was a ratio that you guys like to have for 350 members a month. What is a typical, like what would a staffing ratio look like for that?
Sure. So of course, and you can kind of do your own utilization as well of how many members each day. Obviously, if you saw that Hollywood location, if anyone is listening and
they were well staffed
in our FDD. Yeah. And that was a walkthrough. That was a walkthrough video as well. I think that was even right before store opening. So it wasn't even completely full. The lobby was still missing, I think, our sign and a handful of other items in the parks. That was before the stores fully opened. But our ratio is one Droparator per every 15 dogs. And our locations are around 2,200 to 2,600 is a sweet spot. We have locations a little smaller and a little bigger. But when we talk about site selection, we have a very, very specific edge. My favorite part of my business is our real estate strategy. And so we look for much smaller square footage places. So you're not having it's not like 100% of your members are showing up every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So you said 1 to 15 Droparator.
So let's say you have, 70 dogs in a day, or even you can go off of 30 dogs in a day. If you have 30 dogs at any given time, you should have 2 Droparators working. If you have 45 dogs, you should have 3 Droparators working. And I know we got
that's amazing.
That math down here, the econ guy.
I love Droparator. That's incredible.
I'm gonna send you some overalls.
Yes, I'll wear them.
You gotta wear it.
Don't tempt me. I'll do it.
It's so fun. If anyone who didn't see, all of our Droparators, the whole team, I wear them too. When I go in, we all wear the Duck Brown, the Carhartt or the Dickies overalls, the famous Duck Brown. And what's super cool is like, I'll have friends when they see someone out in the wild wearing like the Carhartt Duck Brown overalls, they'll send a photo and they put like Droparator in the wild sort of thing. So it's pretty fun.
That's freaking incredible. Okay, so I'm doing back of the envelope math. Again, you can either confirm or deny. That's okay. 350 members, and you got the average revenue per month of $250. That works out at $12 an hour. And again, I know this isn't exact, to about 30 hours per member. And you guys are open, you said Monday through Saturday?
Monday. So Monday through Fridays are typically 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Every location can vary. We focus on convenience and flexibility for our members. We want to be open earlier and later. If you don't choose us for anything else, you choose us because we're open. And I'm sure you'll like other things that we have to offer. And then Saturdays may vary by seasonality as well. So
I'll take Saturdays out of the mix. So you're open for a total of 252 hours a month on average. Again, I'm doing some back of the envelope math here. Each member uses you for 29 hours, which would be, hold on, I'm doing this. You can't stop me.
You're not bad at this.
10,000 hours. So 10,000 hours, which would mean, drum roll please, on any given day, you're seeing about, I don't have no idea if this is correct, 40 dogs? Tell me if I'm in the ballpark.
I can't tell you exactly, but I can say our locations off square footage can fit probably that you're looking at closer to 75 daily dogs on any day. And it's going to depend on your ramp up period. So should we see 40 dogs at any given time? Sure.
Well,
you can go
okay, so I'm going to do
and see.
I'm going to do 70. So that means like at any given time, you need to have between 4 and 5 Droparators if you guys are fully staffed. And I'm going to say a Droparator.
Before we go too far, what I also share is a lot of our members and might even stay for a couple hours at a time, right? So that's one thing actually it's really important to our business model and our software is we built in labor management. So let's say
So
this is
yeah,
a hypothetical situation. Let's say we sell, I'm going to use 60 because it's a nice number for me, 60 dogs in
yeah.
a day, right? Let's
Mhm.
say maybe at that peak, there was only 45 dogs at the peak, but some came in from, and it's like a bell curve. Some dogs aren't there they're not there from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So your labor is going to shift throughout the day. And from a business owner, you're like, well, how do I know who to staff, right? Actually, that's kind of our magic with the software is that you can see we built in this technology. So if anyone's gone to Google and they're like, hey, when is the Starbucks busy? And you can see that bell curve. Hey, at 8
Yep.
a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I mean, Starbucks busy 24/7. And you can see about how many people are there. We have the same thing that on every hour on Monday through Sunday, even though like we're closed Sundays, but that we can see trends that on every hour, how many dogs the location has at any given time.
I'm struggling here, Shaina, because even if I said that for 12 hours a day, you're staffed with 5 Droparators at $25 an hour. Now that might be low or high. I'm just like doing my
For
own back of
their
the
hourly
envelope.
wage.
Yeah.
So hourly wage is everyone varies by their state. We typically pay about $1 higher than anywhere. So for instance, in California, we might start at around $18 an hour.
Okay, great. So even $25, let's say that's fully loaded, like whatever, insurance, benefits, like whatever the other employer costs are. I'm still only getting to like $32,000 a month versus your $87,000 in top line revenue. So as far as I'm looking at it, you've got incredibly healthy gross margins. And the square footage of these stores is not massive. I got to like estimate somewhere in the ballpark of $5,000 or less if you're at that like 1,500 square feet. So either these are money printing machines or I'm missing something. Like, are there other major costs associated with these
Hey, you can
locations?
run our payroll. You're pretty good at this. I think you're pretty close. I'd say one thing, rent totally varies by location, and I'm happy to
Sure.
chat more about our real estate strategy, but it's pretty cool what we do, and a lot of that's on the initial investment.
So the thing that you've done differently that I think is really interesting is you went and raised venture money. And from what I was reading, the reason you raised venture money is because there is this tech component to it, specifically on, it sounds like labor management. Why did you go venture? And like, what is a differentiator from your company as a doggy daycare versus, corporate doggy daycare?
Sweet. So my background, I know I spoke really quickly. I've only worked with like early stage tech businesses. To be honest, as naive as it sounds, I'm laughing to anyone here. Like when I started this, I didn't even really know what an SBA loan was. I didn't even know you could like go to a bank. Like everything I had ever known was like venture, startups, tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never even knew about any other options as well. And those were the kind of businesses that I was like inspired by and in, and that was my world. So when I started Dogdrop, it wasn't to start a single dog daycare. It was how do we build the largest network of dog daycares? And I had to work back.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And so my thought was, well, let's start with the pilot. So we raised venture to open our first pilot location.
And when was this?
This was in 2019. We started building the first
Okay.
Dogdrop location, which opened
Okay.
January 2020 as well. And so we want to see, does it even work? And I had 3 things that I was like, this is what I'm testing against. 1, do people want to drop off their dog even for an hour or 2? So if we can do that, we exponentially open the market size. So currently the dog daycare market was people Monday through Friday, 9 to 5ers, right? And so I look against like something like Uber. Uber could have said, well, this is the taxi market and we can take all taxi riders onto our platform, right? So I could have opened Dogdrop and been like, well, this is the dog daycare market, and I can take all these existing dog daycare users onto my platform. But then I said, well, let's create something so convenient and accessible that I've created an entirely new market.
Hey, I don't know if you remember this, but when we started this podcast, we entered into a social contract. I would spend time, energy, and money producing this podcast, interviewing these individuals, and giving you insights into how to build, buy, start, grow your business. And you would like, subscribe, and leave me a 5-star review. Now, out of that, we both get to talk to really cool people and hear really cool insights. We both get a ton of value. But I just want to help you keep your word. So would you do me a favor? Will you go leave a 5-star review for me on Apple or Spotify? It would really help. And if you want, even share this with a friend.
So someone living in LA at this time, I never rode a taxi, right? But then with Uber, I'm like, I have my own car, I'm spending however much on my car per month, plus another $250 to $300 a month on Lyft or Uber, right? And so
Yeah,
the
it's not
same
cheap.
thing, how do you take an existing market, and even if you can take all those existing users onto your platform, is that big enough? And now how can I 10x it? And that was point number one. Point number two was pricing, right? That's like any early stage business, what's what you're trying to figure out. Can I make money?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was like, well, I'm not surprised you're a subscription model if you're VC backed, right? That's just like it's tech, right? Software as a service is a subscription model revenue.
When I talk about our franchise model, it's looks exactly like a software model. You pay for something, you get a service delivery. It's not the other way around. We were like, yes, people want to, because then we launched and then the pandemic happened, right? So people are dropping their dogs off. I was like, this actually was the most proven way to show that people want to drop their dog off for 2 to 3 hours at a time. So we're like, okay, that was point number one. Point number two was, can we put these models in more convenient locations? I talk about convenience all the time. And so there's not dog daycares on the ground floor of Class A multifamily properties. So that's what we went for first. And so can we get these landlords to subsidize most of our costs? That was number two. Yes.
What do you mean?
Super high TI dollars. So we put Dogdrop on the ground floor of apartment complexes, and landlords give us a ton of tenant improvement allowance dollars, which highly subsidize our build out costs because they see Dogdrop as an amenity. The pet amenities are the number one requested amenity. And we have data now that we can help them attract and retain residents if there's a dog drop on site. So we were like,
so when you say, hey, let's talk about our real estate strategy, is that the real estate strategy that you're talking about?
Yep. That's part one of it.
Oh, interesting. So effectively what you're saying is like, hey, we're going to cut down on the initial investment that any franchisee has to make because you're going to have to build out these locations anyways. Why not focus somewhere that's going to subsidize that?
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then point number three is how much are people willing to pay? And so we tested that and we hit all those marks. Our assumptions were right. And we said, I said, let's say we're wrong on everything. Let's say we're completely wrong. People don't want to drop their dog off for a couple hours at a time. People want to pay half day and whole days. People want more inconvenient locations. They don't want to be able to walk downstairs from their apartment. Well, they want to drive 20 minutes off the side of the freeway. So let's say we're wrong. I was like, I can still turn this asset into a standard traditional dog daycare model and make money. Because when I started Dogdrop, I called probably between 60 to 80 dog daycares, boarding facilities, training facilities, all throughout California. I'm talking from like Riverside to Fresno and everything else. First trying to see if I could buy their business. Yeah, no one wanted to sell. And that's when I said, okay.
That's a good sign.
Yep. That's a good sign.
You're benefiting from one of my investment theses that I love is investing in tailwinds, right? So it's like any industry that has a tailwind behind it and people are spending more and more on their pets every single year. So yeah, I love these types of industries that are taking advantage of pet ownership growth and disposable income being spent on their pets. So the first 2 points though aren't really venture differentiating points. Yes, the pricing model is different. And yes, there's a real estate strategy and component to it, but those aren't, in my mind, they wouldn't be necessarily venture differentiators. What got venture really interested in this model?
So I agree with that, but they're critical to the business model to scale it, right? So those are and through our software we can do that. So I think for us, we worked at first with Science. They're a venture fund out of Los Angeles. They incubated Dog Shave Club, Dog Vacay, which was acquired by Rover. And if anyone follows anything, Rover's had some pretty big outcomes. Liquid Death, that we used to share a desk basically with the guys at Liquid Death. So they've incubated everything in between, right? And they're really strong at consumer brands. And so we said, hear us out. Like, there is no household name in dog care. Are we inventing the category of dog care? No. There's, there's why, there's rubber. Okay. There's walking services. We know about the big boarding facilities too, right? There's a lot of things, but we have a specific niche. Our thing is, do people want to just drop off and pick up their dog and access any location throughout the US super easy? Like, we think there's a market for it. I think we can solve that problem. Let's see if we can hit the core fundamentals of the business, and how do we build software to make sure that that experience is consistent, that it's scalable, and that we can improve the unit economics.
So what is the software? Is it software for the end consumer, the customer who's dropping off, or is it for the
That's what we
franchisee?
focus the least on so far, which we have a ton of opportunity there. Most of it's the back end admin and management, everything to run your Dogdrop business.
And we were talking about this earlier. So franchising was a part of the investment thesis when you went. It was not.
I start one step at a time. Like, let's prove out these three fundamentals of the business. Nothing else matters then, right? Let's see.
Okay.
We see a world that this can be big. I don't know how to get to that world, right? Who am I to say what? I don't like to go into something, but this is the only way. I'm not sure. Let's start with one. Okay. Now let's see it. And then when I saw you're operating it, it's like the big community of that. Every dog, everything. I was there all day with my co-founder too, running and operating the business. And then as you get to looking at number two, we're like, hey, you know what was so successful was us as owners. And then I looked at what is our core competency of a business that we're building. I'm like, whoa, what we're really good at is actually all the back end operations. We're doing them so efficiently. What if we can offer that to people? What if we can offer the software, right? There's so many ways to do this. And then how do we present this as a vertically integrated solution to someone else, which is a fancy way of literally franchising, right? Bargain. I'm like, well, that's franchising, but call it what you want. And I laugh because I was at a conference one time soon after starting Dogdrop, and I think it was the Wolfgang Bakery founder. If anyone knows Wolfgang Bakery and Grooming, I think they have, I don't know if they have 300 or 500 or 1,000 locations. Honestly, I'm not sure, but a lot of locations. And they
had a lot of locations.
Yeah, a lot. They're the big pink guys. And they primarily do grooming. And that Wolfgang founder, and they had I think a pretty decent sized PE exit about 2 years ago. The Wolfgang founder, I believe it was him. He said, "Are you going to franchise?" And I said, "No." No one ever asked me that before. I never even thought about it. I never even knew about it. I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
Once he asked that question, a handful of other people, and I could be like, "No, I don't think so." Then I said, "I need to change my tune." Then I started saying, "I don't know." And then I started reading and looking more into it and reading case studies and realizing internally what our business is so good at. And I'm like, hey, I think we can do this like pretty differently.
It's really interesting. I'm going to put words in your mouth here so you can tell me if I'm way off base here. But if I'm looking at it from the outside and I'm like, all right, I went and raised venture money to do this concept, to tackle a big market. And I know that there's an opportunity here and we've done really good on the operations. But in order to scale, you're going to have to go raise more money. I mean, you can have the TI process, or excuse me, TI incentives, the tenant improvement incentives, all you want, but there's still going to be some capital outlay in order for you to open as many locations as you need to, and then build out the operator stack, the marketing stack, all that stuff. So that means you're going to have to raise another round. And you still may have to raise another round, but there's another option, which is you're effectively crowdsourcing the growth by getting people who are interested in franchising, bringing their own capital to the table and starting these businesses. So that's one thing that I'm looking at where it's like, oh, that makes sense. And then you're capitalizing on another tailwind. We talked about the dog day, the pet market, but there's another tailwind that's happening right now, which is entrepreneurship is becoming more and more popular with the younger generations. And so you've got people who are entrepreneurially minded and they want to get into entrepreneurship. They don't know how. And it's like, should I buy a business? Well, I got to sign a personal guarantee of a couple $1 million. Maybe I'll look into some of these other businesses, starting one from scratch. Oh, franchising might be a good option. And it's like you're tapping into that as well. That's how I see it. Is that how it's sort of evolved, or did I miss something?
That's pretty close. It's like a triangle there, right?
Okay.
I think one thing that I say is like we've raised over $6 million. It's not, and I think I laugh. I'll see people as like, we're a venture-backed franchise. We've raised all this money. And then you ask them how much, and they're like, well, we raised 200,000. I'm like, okay, well, that's going to get you through your FDD and hopefully setting up something. And then what? Then you're so reliant on franchise sales. You're so reliant on
Yeah.
that you have to sell to anything because that's the only way. For better or worse, we've raised over 6 million, closer to $6.5 million. A lot of that is for our technology platform, but it's also to give our team breathing room. If you look at us in the evolution of our business, I'm not going out there selling 10, 15 unit deals. We're selling a few and having these people get them open, and we've gone slow to go fast, right? And you've seen these emerging franchisors that have said they've raised all this money, but when you ask what's that, it's like, okay, $200,000. If you 300, 800,000, and you're like, as someone that operates a franchisor, I'm like, oof, that doesn't get you far as well. And I think that's
Well, and that,
important for people to understand is who is on the support team of the franchisor. Can they make it through the other side? Also, are they planning to raise more money to sustain the growth? Our answer is like yes to all.
well, and anybody who's listening that's like interested in franchising, these would be the questions I would be asking is like, okay, well, how well capitalized are you? How much support can you offer on the back end? Again, I did the back of the envelope numbers where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to round $85,000 a month top line, $50,000 a month gross margin. This seems like a money printing machine. Again, my words, not yours. Why don't you have more locations sold? That would be my first question, right? I'd be like, well, this doesn't make any sense, right? If it's that good, then why don't you have more locations? You have 15 under development. That seems like a really small number. So I'll ask it to you right here. You've raised this money. You have a good thesis. It looks like the thing works. Why only 15 locations under development right now?
So a couple things. One, we're not going out selling big vanity numbers, right? I'm not selling 15, 20 units. Open 2 to 3, then we can talk about more, right? So if you think about any people like, oh, I want to buy full territory. You ask someone else, they're like, oh yeah, 200 units under. And that might be 10 to 15 people who are doing 10, 15, 20 unit deals, right?
That's really interesting.
That's a
Yeah. So you're capping the number of units right now, the number of units that anybody who's getting into the franchise can take on. Okay, that's interesting. All right.
Operator as well. We just closed a deal with someone that got very early into Orange Theory. They were an area rep. They had a couple dozen Orange Theories, massively successful through that system. And they're starting with a couple. Let's start with the couple and get them open. Do we think that they're going to waste their time to open 2 to 3 dog drops? Why would they do that? I don't know. I don't even want to waste my time to open 1 to 3 dog drops, right? You can make good money, sure, off of any location, off of any business that you put into it. But the people that we're talking to is how to build a really big business. So anyone listening, like when you buy a single unit, there is a ceiling, right? There is a ceiling on a location. On a brick and mortar business, there is a ceiling on a home service business within a territory. Everyone wants to say it's bigger, but eventually you need more and more and more.
How big is the territory?
It's about 250,000 population, give or take, on the area, all that fun stuff. But short answer.
And how much time, this is one question I was going to ask, how much time does a franchisee spend in the business?
I love that question. It's not a passive investment. Like my expectation, unless
it's not a passive investment.
Not passive.
Okay, cool.
Passive. 20 times not. My expectation from a franchisee is that this is their full attention. Even the people who own and operated all these Orange Theories, they're operating this with their family full time, right? They're not just starting out right away with the GM. Does everyone going to work towards that? Of course, yes. If you need 6 months to do that, or if you need 18 months, whatever it takes to get your location up and running, to get it break even first, then to get it profitable, to have your payback period, that's how long it takes.
It's interesting because I would selfishly as well, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but just selfishly as well, you don't want people who are like, oh, this could be a passive income stream that I'm going to make $50,000 a month on, because you're trying to build a brand.
You're close, but
no, I know. Yeah. I know. And that was gross margin, right? We're not talking about all the net costs of rent and tech and royalties and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is you don't want that mentality because you're trying to grow a brand right now. And the success of these franchisees is going to inform whether or not people in the future want to join you, right? So if you're bringing on people who are going to set themselves up for failure anyways, then it's a short-term win suffering the long-term success. At least that's how I would view it.
Yeah, I mean, we actually recently sold our first ever our corporate location, my pilot location. We just sold last Tuesday to a franchisee. So he's open.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's super cool to see. He's opening his store in Anaheim, California, right across the street from Angel Stadium. If anyone's familiar, great area. Drop your dog off, go to a baseball game for 2 or 4 hours. I was at the Giant game yesterday and I was like, I was pretty long. If anyone saw that.
I used to work at the Block. Do you know where the Block is in Orange?
Orange, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, really close to
Orange County. So
yeah,
familiar with the Block. There's the man top of the wall. What was the skate park?
I'm sure there's. Look at me. Do I look like I'm a skater?
I don't know. My brother would always drop him off there. And I just spent hours walking around the block waiting for him.
That's amazing. But you just sold your first corporate location, which is awesome. That's fantastic.
It'll give a franchisee time to learn the business before he opens his Anaheim location. So like, I'm super excited. People are like, why are you selling it? Everything. I'm like, oh, it was tough, right? Especially that first location, everything. But I'm like, what cooler of a proof point is that you have an existing franchisee in your system wanting to buy a corporate location. And I'm like, he's going to learn this business so quick inside and out. I was down in LA all last week I saw all of our OG founding members and I was in there all day that they still go to Dogdrop. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these dogs are still here. It was so fun to see. And now when he opens Anaheim, he's going to be like hitting the ground running. So it's very cool to see that.
Okay. So I want to ask you some final questions. The final questions are going to be, how much does it cost to get in to one of these franchise locations? And then what are the red flags and green flags I should look for personally? Like how would I know that this is a good opportunity or a bad opportunity for me?
Okay.
But before I do that, where do you want to point people? Where's the best place for them to go find you?
Yeah, you can find me on X, Shaina Denny, or learn about Dogdrop if you just type in Dogdrop franchise on Google. Our SEO is pretty good, so it should pop up and take it from there.
Okay, cool. And then I'll do a shameless plug. Go give this a like and follow me. Okay. If you want more interviews like this with Shaina, I mean, Shaina's top notch. I don't know if anybody's going to be as good as Shaina, but I try to get people on every single week that are at least close. Okay. So how much does it cost to get into one of these franchises?
Sure. So for a Dogdrop franchise, per our FDD, it's between $360 to $650 in terms of initial investment. And anyone can look at any FDD and you kind of dive right to item 7 and you can see that range. For a brick and mortar, it's really going to vary. Market, meaning location, it's going to vary by the space and the renovation. At Dogdrop, one of our core things that we're super gung-ho is getting a ton of tenant improvement allowance dollars, meaning that we could substantially have the landlord pay back our franchisees for some of their construction costs. What we're seeing across the US is that it's very probable to get TI dollars between $50 to $150 a square foot in tenant improvement allowance. That's what the market is giving when you have an amenity. It's different. We can't guarantee that's just the real estate market, not talking specifically about Dogdrop, but those are things that you should look for when you're evaluating any retail business.
Tell me, so 350 to 650, let's say that's the range. What's the buy-in? Like what's the franchise fee? And then what's allocated to other things?
So you kind of brought up a couple times, oh, it's like a software business, right? So anyone who's looked at franchising, my short answer is, oh, maybe franchise fee is 55 or something K, right? If you looked at a franchise business, it's 50 to 60K. What we've done is we've broken up our franchise fee based on milestones and service delivery. Our franchise fee is $12,000. That doesn't mean that's your all upfront cost. It's still equal to that around that $55,000 mark. And then you pay us 10 days later for our onboarding fee. And then you pay us a couple weeks later for our site selection and real estate construction. And then each milestone as we go through before your store opening, you pay us for your training. You pay us for our tech development fee. Then you pay us for the everything from there. And that's really important because we're not living off of those, oh, I sold 2 units, I get 100K today. I sold 2 units, I get $24,000. I need to work every day for my franchisees. I need to tell my corporate team, we're not getting our next invoice until we've done this work for our franchisees. And that's kind of this new wave of thinking as a franchisor that's really important to see is like how are fees spread.
As a franchisee, I might say, oh, well, crap, that means you don't have enough dollars to actually build out a support team that would make me successful. But then you go to the other side of it where it's like, well, we've raised money. We have some breathing room here that allows us to not be so focused on getting you, the franchisee, to pay for, all of that support up front.
Yeah, that I'm not selling all these units to people that aren't going to be able to open them.
So in your experience, are people getting loans for these, or are these like they're paying their own cash, or is it a mix of the two? Is this SBA financeable?
Most of our franchisees are paying cash towards their investment or their own savings. We've had someone do a 401k rollover. People are familiar with that. I'm not a huge fan of someone taking out a $350,000 SBA loan. We would not be the right system for you. I think that's so much stress and pressure. I think at the end of the day, I'm a business owner too, right? And I have to, every day I'm thinking about our own company, making sure everything works out. And I don't wish that these massive SBA loans with the interest rates, to me, I'm like, we don't need that right now. I don't believe in someone going, there's so many other franchise systems and people can make money immediately to build up their net worth and their cash position before investing that much or taking out that large of a loan. It's one thing that's for a single unit, right? If you're now taking out loans for growth, I think that's a different stage of the business when you look at alternative financing to grow your business. But that's my belief initially getting into the business. And, if someone still feels comfortable with that, that's their own prerogative. But I think there are a lot of other franchise systems that would be happy with that. And it's a lot less pressure on everyone. It's not to say, trust me, these people aren't like, oh, I have this money to lose. Absolutely not. That is not the case at all.
Yeah.
But it's a huge line item is what these monthly loans make up for. When it comes to opening your third, fourth, fifth unit, let's look at alternative financing.
When you're looking at franchisees, or if a franchisee is looking, like what are some qualities that you look at and say, hey, this would be a really good fit for you, or this would be not a good fit for you?
That first thing is I look at what makes a successful Dogdrop, because that's how I'm looking at if you'd be successful running this business. One, it's a membership-based business. Can you acquire and retain members, right? That's super important. Two is how we acquire members, and it's very local. So I want someone that wants to build these local relationships, wants to go to all the small businesses next door, wants to be best friends with the apartment and leasing managers, right? Because that's what makes Dogdrop successful. If that's something that you can do, let me guess, what you can do or don't really want to do, but you will do it, will be the last on your to-do list every day, meaning it's not going to get done.
It's true.
And I want someone who's like stoked on it. Like, oh, I went to the coffee shop, the Orange Theory and the Rumble, and we're having all these events and I'm setting up the tables and having our manager do this. Like, that's the person that we're looking for, because that's someone who's going to make a Dogdrop successful. The third thing is we're a service-based business and we create moments of delight that are backed by like trust and safety. And your team can feel that immediately. Are you likable? Does your team want to work for you? And your team is Droparators who work hourly, who love dogs, and you set the tone as a business owner. And so we need to find people that can set the tone in a positive way. And those are the three immediate green flags that we look for.
I love that.
I'll talk about one red flag super quick.
Yeah.
I started Dogdrop, and most of people, like I said, I wasn't obsessed with dogs, but I do have a genuine passion for their care, their well-being, and I love dogs, right? But I wasn't that person in class who was like that crazy dog girl. And I had a good convo a couple weeks with someone. I'm like, oh, this person's like, one, super financially qualified. Like, two, would make a very business savvy, like great background. Then we start talking more, and he's like, oh, actually, like I've never had a dog and don't really like them that much, but it's such a great opportunity. And I was like, want to know who's going to know that and feel that and read that through everyone? Every single person.
That's very true. Oh, so you said no?
I told him I recommended 2 other franchise systems. He was so into
Good for you.
pet. He is so into pet. He really wanted pet because the opportunity, I don't need to tell anyone, it's one of the best market opportunities. Yeah. I told him you should get into pet waste management. You don't have to love dogs. It's much more like home services, landscaping, everything. I'm affiliated with Cooper Scoopers, so I don't want to sound like I'm, promoting them without nodding to that. But that was one I was like, it's you're talking to the pet parents. I'm not saying you shouldn't not like dogs, but you don't at a dog drop, you need to when you walk in, there's dozens of dogs there and their parents love their dogs, and that's our service. And so if you give the feeling that
Yeah.
they're like, to you, that's not gonna fly.
Good for you recommending another system. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And other home service brands, I always I'm like, here's other things. I'm
Yeah.
like, what is your skill set? Here's like 3 other brands that might be more suitable.
Well, Shaina, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to talk to you soon, and have a great one.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
All right. Hopefully you liked that episode. And if you've made it this far, you're either really committed or you're stuck doing yard work and you can't actually skip on your phone. So while I have you, the show is growing, but I have a favor to ask of you. Will you please help me grow the show? I want to reach more people. There's a couple things that you can do. Like and subscribe is the simplest thing. Obviously, you want to get notifications for when the next episode is coming out. But if you go the next step, will you leave me a review? 5-star on Spotify or Apple. What that does is it tells the algorithm that, oh, hey, this is a high value podcast because more people are leaving reviews for it, and it then pushes it out to more people. So that's why when people are like, will you like and subscribe and put a 5-star rating? It's not just to make themselves feel better. It's actually to get more exposure for the show. So if you do that for me, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.